Hey everyone, getting back at her. If you haven't noticed, it's probably been over a year since I've really done anything, or very close to it, anyways. So finally, I'm slowing down with the more car-related stuff as the temperature drops. Be spending more time inside and doing some train stuff. So not a whole lot has really changed. I did have a burst of energy and started moving some things around on the layout. One spot in particular, for the most part, everything, if you kind of remember how it was, looping around in this small area in the basement, has stayed the same. Uh, Obviously, there's always going to be an exception to that. So So as you guys seen in the time lapse, I expanded this little area, and I'm kind of making this a city-ish, or I guess a small town, more of like an industrial area for switching. And it won't be too crazy for switching, but it will kind of be a little more difficult to switch, not so much the quick in and out kind of move you would normally make. Everything is essentially done off the main line, but I've incorporated a little bit of my Y at the very far end into it, not just to flip your power around after your day of switching, but everything will also kind of help as a way to, I guess, store stuff off the main line or out of the siding. I did build, or I am going to put together another siding, as I think the flow will be better. I know this is turning into more of a railroad of lies, but I'm just kind of winging it because I just want to have something, and something that I think is kind of cool, or kind of neat, right? So I think it'll come together really nice. The extra space is going to help me on this end at least be able to have maybe a couple roads, a couple crossings, and a very small residential area incorporated into that very 50s, 60s, in my opinion, style of a small town kind of being industrialized, if that makes any sense. This spot here was originally going to be incorporated with the little town spot, but I just felt that it was dragging out that scene way too much, as it kind of loops around over like a fairly large area. There's a good 6 feet in between the pieces of bench work here, so if that kind of helps you put a handle on how big or how small the space is. I just think this area needed its own station, so I did have this little guy here, this little station kit, and I'm going to incorporate and just make this its own little, basically like a whistle stop. It won't be much more than the grain elevator, and I do have a second industry I want to stick here. It's either going to be a lumberyard or an implement dealer, so we'll see how that goes. But this starts my siding, or ends it, I guess, depending on which way you look at it, but also can get you into the one leg of the Y. So I will obviously have my backdrop up, I am planning just to go very, very simple with it, just painting it a light blue, give that sky effect to it. I'm not going to go with the picture backdrop again. That was very difficult, and honestly, if it was more permanent, then yeah, I would definitely probably be more apt to spending the money on it. But trying to do this on a more affordable level now, because this is not going to be permanent. This is just something I'm putting together. So I did move this section of bench work. It did go around the furnace on the outside and then loop into like a big S curve into that town area. But I've started feeling that it was almost out of place. Like it didn't really make sense. And it was a lot of track to not really be incorporated into the layout. So I said, hell with it, and I'm moving this stuff. And the big compromise I had to make here, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'll be able to do it or not, is a shop area. Just to have locomotives stored on the layout, displayed on the layout. Basically, right here where this piece comes out is where I was planning to do an offshoot for my turntable and roundhouse and fuel pads. Now I don't know what I'm going to do. So I am very happy with how this looks, though. It's a nice S curve, or I guess double S curve into the yard part of the layout. And like I said, too, once the backdrop is up, it's gonna help hide a lot of the cluttered basementness, which unfortunately is just unavoidable right now. So finishing it off today, any little bit of progress I make, I'm gonna just try to compile up and we'll get to the showing part later eventually. Today I am actually going to try to get the rest of the track down for the main line, and then start maybe the rest of the roadbed for the sidings. I did pick up some black foam core like poster paper, so it's probably almost exactly the same thickness as the foam roadbed. And I wanted that just because you could run to the dollar store and for whatever, $2 a sheet or whatever it was. I think that was a little bit cheaper than going to get like the Woodland Scenics or, whatever roll of 24 by 36 or whatever those foam sheets are. I have no idea. I've never used them. A little bit cheaper than getting those, more readily available. And the black just matches actually quite nicely with the foam roadbed on the layout. So for a larger area, especially like my little yard I have opposite of us right now, the little town scene, it's going to be really nice, I think, just building up sections of that scene and not having to use a ton of the really nice foam roadbed that I keep reusing. I still have a ton of projects along the wall here, as you can see. So I think I'm just gonna take the baby steps this year, not just cram a whole bunch of stuff in and then I just start procrastinating and don't do anything. So that is the plan. So I'm gonna try to get some work done today, maybe even some backdrop. Try to get that hardboard up and start cleaning it up. I do want to have, along with the hardboard backdrop, I want to have a drop cloth or something going around just to cover up the cement walls, but minor details. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time, take her easy.